let's start with the man named DJ Moore in Chicago, Tyler Bagent or Bagent. I'm not sure exactly how
I was told
he
Bajent. I,
it's
I was told Bajent, so I've been going with that.
all right. Well, that dude is going to be throwing at DJ Moore,
Yep.
and Ryan likes the over on receiving yards.
Right. Yeah, I think all the overs for DJ Moore kind of work. He said take the over on receptions, actually 5.5 receptions or higher. But I do think you could look at receiving yards as well. The thing I'll say about, well, first of all, here's the rationale. It's really straightforward. Bajent has thrown 43 passes so far this season. 15 of those have gone to DJ Moore. That is a 34.8% target share. That is an elite target share. Like that is Stephon Diggs target share. That is what we're talking about here. He has been throwing the ball at DJ Moore a lot. And the other thing you like about the reception side of this prop, I do think that you could look at the receiving yards and maybe think about an over, especially based on what DJ Moore can do kind of after the catch. But the reason you're looking specifically at receptions is the way the Bears ran this offense last week is they were not throwing the ball down the field. Bajan averaged 2.0 air yards per target. Just 4 of his passes traveled 10 yards or further down the field. The longest was 15 yards. They threw it around the line of scrimmage a lot. And for a receptions prop, that's great because the expected completion rate on those throws is going to be higher. The expected catch rate for DJ Moore is going to be higher. So for him to get 6 or 7 catches, he's not going to need as many targets as he would if he was maybe being used further down the field. And so I think that adds a lot of credence to this. Maybe the receiving yards, you can kind of quibble with it if he's only going to be getting those types of targets. I also, think about that doesn't really attack the weakness of this Chargers defense. The weakness of this Chargers defense is down the field. So maybe they do try to throw it a little more down the field. But either way, I mean, when this DJ Moore prop came up last week, and I think it was only 4.5 last week, we absolutely smashed it at the website. We said that line makes no sense, and we smashed it. Whatever it ends up being this week, if it's 5.5 or lower, I think you just do the same thing because very obviously Bajent is targeting DJ Moore a lot.
The next player's name might be Downs, but we're going over.
We're going over on Josh Downs receptions, and Ryan put in the article 4.5 or lower catches on his receptions. And that's because we expected this line to go up. We've been betting this line. I know Ryan's been on this line for several weeks. I bet this line every single week that Gardner Minshew has started. I've bet this line, and the over has hit on Josh Downs receptions. And then it opened up today. I saw it today, and it opened up at 3.5. So a catch lower than even where we would end up taking it. There's a ton of juice on the over. I believe I looked at DraftKings before we got on here, and it was minus 166 to take the over. So I assume that we're going to be moving to 4.5 pretty quick. But even at 4.5, I'm still taking this prop. Josh Downs has been the target on 22.2% of Gardner Minshew's throws this season. So not quite DJ Moore, but that's still a really good target share. He's not been under 5 catches since week 4, and week 4 was with Anthony Richardson. He's gone under 3.5 catches just twice this season. And the thing about this situation is you look at the Saints defense and you say, well, the Saints defense is tough, and that is true. But against the Saints defense and kind of the way they play defense, man coverage, teams tend to target the slot against them. 38% of throws against the Saints have targeted the slot. That's the highest rate in the league. And so even if you're looking at this matchup and thinking, I don't know about this matchup, that's more of a concern, I think, for Michael Pittman than it is for Josh Downs, who plays a lot more of his snaps in the slot. So at 3.5, it's an automatic bet. At 4.5, I still think it's good. But if you can find it at 3.5 with reasonable juice on it, I love this prop. This is probably my favorite prop of the week.
That is good to know. Josh Downs was a guy I had been saying all off season was I saw him as discount Zay Flowers. They both came out. They both had very similar skill sets early in the process. For draft season, they were pretty close, and then somehow they ended up 8 rounds, 10 rounds different. I got a lot of things wrong for best ball this year. Josh Downs ain't one of them. Speaking of things that I'm hoping will happen, because I have some really good season-long teams with this player, Mark Andrews over.
Yeah, over on receptions. Ryan has it as 4.5 receptions or lower to take the over. His rationale is that the Cardinals run a lot of too high. They 58% of their coverage snaps are in too high. That type of coverage invites targets to tight ends, and Mark Andrews is no different. Mark Andrews has a 28% target share against too high coverage this season. Again, was when we're getting close to 30, we're getting close to a really good number there. My concern with this one is the one that I'm looking at and going, I don't know about. So I'm interested in kind of your thoughts on it. My concern with this one is, are we going to get enough volume if this game gets out of hand? We already saw last week when the Ravens just absolutely put it on the Colts that we didn't get that volume. Now, Andrews, I believe, would have gone over this last week anyway, but we saw Lamar Jackson only throw it 27 times. Are we going to see something similar here if the Ravens really, crush the Cardinals? That line, I believe, is 8.5 right now. No, it's up to 9.5 on the road. So they're 9.5 point favorites on the road. What I will say to that, by the way, is that double-digit home dogs tend to do very good against the spread, or at least historically have. So maybe that's something to think about if you're thinking if this game's going to be close or not. Will we get Kyler Murray back? I don't know. So there's a lot of ifs going into this game. But I think just kind of looking at it, the way it's set up right now and what the spread is, I would be worried about volume. But from a matchup perspective, this is a great matchup for Mark Andrews.
I will say this. I was thinking of the Kyler factor is kind of a I love hidden little upsides. And the fact that Kyler might play definitely could be a hidden little upside. Let's get to our last one. We always seem to have a yardage under. This week, Brian Robinson is the longest run for him under. What is the prop, and what is Ryan's thoughts and your thoughts as well, Ray?
So I love that Ryan is all over these longest run over and unders, and it has been a very profitable. It's one of those things that I believe goes overlooked, and I think the lines are a little bit soft. By the way, if you play on underdog, if you play pick'em on underdog, they do a lot of completion rates as well for quarterbacks, which to me have seemed soft as well. So there's a lot of kind of these interesting bets that make props a little bit more fun than taking the sides. If you're taking the side or you're taking a total, that has been bet by really smart people with lots of money, and that is a very well calibrated line. It's hard to get value on them. Some of these props, especially these lesser used props like longest rush, I think you could start to find some value on him. He likes the longest rush under on Brian Robinson at 11.5 yards or higher. The way he looks at these and the way he talks about them, and I think it makes a lot of sense, is to get a long run, you need to get yards before contact. Something like 85% of 15-yard runs start with 3 yards, at least 3 yards before contact for running backs. And so if you're looking at a situation where you're not expecting them to get a ton of yards before contact, then you're not going to expect a lot of long runs. The Commanders' backs have been contacted at or behind the line of scrimmage 50% of the time. The Eagles are second in the league, allowing just 3.3 yards per carry to running backs. They've been a very, very good run defense. And you look at all of that and you say, okay, the under makes sense, even if we expect Brian Robinson to get a full workload. But the other side of this is we've started to see more of an early down split in Washington between Brian Robinson and between the rookie Chris Rodriguez. Last week, Chris Rodriguez handled 41.2% of the running back carries. He had just one fewer carry than Robinson. And if you look over the past few times that Robinson has been active, he's now gone from 0 carries, 0% of the running back carries, to last week or 2 weeks ago was 23.5% of the running back carries. And last week was 41.2% of the running back carries. This is a trending towards, at best for Brian Robinson, a timeshare. And so if you're giving him fewer opportunities to get this long rush, and he has the issues that he's going to have in this matchup, and I mean, we see the Commanders are happy to drop back and throw a lot and just let Sam Howell take as many sacks as possible. They're happy to do that even in neutral game script. If this game gets away from them with the Eagles, then you're going to expect to do that. There's a lot working against Brian Robinson here if we're expecting him to get longer than a 12-yard run in this game.